Hello and welcome. Today I'm going to be talking about step-by-step methods to make several high-end and in-demand items, starting with a double-influenced explodey chest piece, then moving on to a +1 Dex or Int, +1 Chaos Gems Amulet, suitable for things like Essence Drain Contagion, Toxic Rain, and Caustic Arrow, a +1 Dex, +1 Phys Gems Amulet, suitable for something like Bladefall Blade Blast, and then finally finishing up with the God Tier Penance brand helmet. There's often going to be a lot of crossover between these methods and other methods. For example, if you wanted to make something like a +1 Int, +1 Fire Amulet, it would be the exact same method as +1 Dex, +1 Phys. So even if this isn't the exact item that your build requires, you can probably use the same method and get the end result. Just be sure to check the tags for yourself so you don't end up making any costly mistakes, like I almost do at one point in this video. And this is likely to be the first video in a series of videos focusing on various harvest crafts. So if the item you're looking for isn't here, subscribe to the channel, ring the notification bell, and join the Discord, because there's a good chance the item you're looking for may appear in a future video, or a similar crafting method that you can use will be featured. Now, on to the first item. To start with, the explodey chest. If we're going to make a double-influenced explodey chest, we need a single-influenced explodey chest. And to do that, I take an item level 85 Crusader base, and I use Jagged fossils. The reason I use Jagged fossils is they encourage Phys modifiers. The goal here is to get physical damage is reflected to attackers, combined with physical damage taken as lightning. This is the best way to get a nice solid base. And you should be able to roll something like that within around 10 Jagged fossils. From there, I use Remove Non-Physical modifier, add a new physical modifier, because there's only 3 total physical tagged modifiers for Crusader chests. The Phys Reflect, Phys from hits taken as lightning, and finally Explodey. So non-Phys to Phys will always put the Explodey on. Now from here, there's a few options that you can do. Either you can annul it, and if it bricks, go again because the whole process isn't particularly expensive. You can remove 1 prefix, add a suffix, which would be a 1 in 3 to remove a Phys Reflect, and a 1 in 3 to remove the Phys from hits taken as lightning. Either thing would increase the value, and of course a 1 in 3 to brick it by removing Explode. Or you could just remove lightning, which is much more expensive, but always guarantees a usable result. From here, you can either roll with alts or purchase whatever you want for the second mod. In my case, it's going to be +1 to level of active skill gems. And I purchased it for 1 exalt because it already came on a 6 white item level 100 Val Regalia, which is the base that I wanted to use. Whenever you are using an Awakener's Orb, you will need 1 base that has the correct links, colors, item level, whatever you want to keep, enchantment included, and the other one can be any base at all because the item will be destroyed. For the next step, you take an Awakener's Orb, and you destroy the Crusader chest, or again, whichever is not your base, and use it on the other, which transfers the mods like so. In this case, this result is actually pretty lucky. There's a lot of really bad junk mods that can be rolled on Val Regalias, things like mana that are a pain to remove. This chest didn't roll anything like that, so it's nice and easy to get it into a fully usable state. Now I do non-caster to caster. This is to force spell crit because spell crit is the only caster mod that the item can roll. And I know I can do this safely because spell crit is a suffix, and the suffixes are currently full. Because non-caster to caster must add a suffix, it must remove a suffix, thus it can't brick the prefixes such as Explodey. Then I do non-crit to crit. This is to force Power Charge on crit. It will again remove a random suffix, and it can't remove a prefix because it must add a suffix, and suffixes are still full. At this point, I'm about 8 crafting steps in, and the item's ready to put on finishing touches. There's several things that you could do from here, such as remove life and craft life as extra max ES, remove life and craft life, or roll remove add life until you hit a good life roll. Similarly, the resist suffix, or the suffix in general, could either be removed or re-rolled. This total process cost around 6 Exalted Orbs, which is significantly cheaper than just going out and buying a chest like this. And outside of the Awakener Orb, there were relatively few possible fail states. You can do this with most other items. Keep in mind that if you're putting on a suffix, for example, if you were to Awakener Orb on Frenzy Charge on Hit, the Redeemer mod, you would not be able to do the non-caster to caster or non-crit to crit portion safely, because it could remove one of your desired mods. Now, on to the next item. A +1 Dex or +1 Int, it doesn't matter at all, and +1 Chaos with Chaos.Multi Amulet. This would be ideal for Caustic Arrow, Toxic Rain, Bane, etc. Now, if you want, you can alt spam. I really don't like alt spamming with this because I hate clicking the 200 to 500 times that it takes on average to hit one of these mods. It is very easy to get unlucky and burn through a bunch of exalts, so I prefer to just buy it. and the best thing to buy here is something like this amulet that has 2 open prefixes and no open suffixes. This will make the later crafting steps much, much easier. So I purchased this for 1 Exalt. Again, you can roll it, but I don't advise it if you have the option to buy. From here, I Augment Chaos. The reason I Augment Chaos is because the only Chaos tagged prefix is +1 to Chaos Gems. The amulet is now +1 Chaos and +1 Dexterity. Then I apply Remove Non-Chaos, Add Chaos. Remember, using the rule from the first craft, the prefixes are not in any danger here, because the only potential Chaos tagged mods that aren't on the item are Chaos Res, which in this case happens to be on the item, or, alternatively, is Chaos.multi, which is not on the item. Because it must add a suffix, it must remove a suffix. From here, what's left? Well, there's several gambles you could do to make the suffixes better, or you can do what I'm going to do and craft a prefix and sell the item, because I'm not particularly invested in this. If I was going to use it for myself, maybe I'd do add remove chaos a few times to try to get tier 1 chaos.multi or higher chaos res. Maybe I'd reroll the suffix into something else. Maybe I'd aug life, although that gets prohibitively expensive and doesn't actually add that much over crafted life. And this total process costs between 3 and 4 exalts, depending on exactly how much you spend on some of the crafts, like Aug Chaos. So what about a +1/+1 amulet? Well, again, it is easiest to buy the +1 amulet for either Dex, Int, or Strength, whatever you happen to be making. In this case, it's going to be Dex because I'm assuming Bladefall, Blade Blast, but it could easily be Blade Vortex instead. And again, the second mod will be +1 Phys Gems, which is a Warlord mod. You can buy it, you can alt-roll it, or you can use Jagged Fossils again, and it'll take probably about 50, which makes it a little bit more expensive, but still a little bit cheaper than buying it a lot of the time. Because an Awakener's Orb is going to be used, one base needs to be good, and one base can be literally anything. And from here, it's about slamming them together with an Awakener's Orb. And I got, well, some pretty bad mods. So to fix that, I'm going to use a method called Reforge Keeping Prefixes. This is a harvest craft that essentially applies a Chaos Orb to the item, but will lock any existing prefix modifiers in place. Because all the prefixes are full, I don't need to make sure that the last one is full with a craft. And I use this 3 times. The reason for this is I wasn't happy with the first 2 results. The third try, however, yields something that's pretty usable. Now, if I was going to use this for myself and I needed something like Fire Res, or I needed something like Intelligence, I might keep re-rolling this because at 30 to 40 chaos each, it is fairly cost efficient to just keep trying to fish for that good suffix. But in this case, I'm going to call it done, use Remove Defense to remove a bad prefix, and overall I have an amulet that cost about 8 exalts, which isn't as cheap compared to buying it as a lot of the others. But if the process were to be continued, and let's just say I rolled till T1 Chaos Res, or Tier 1 Crit Multi, or if I added Tier 1 Cast Speed, all these things are relatively inexpensive to do, and would significantly increase the value of the amulet if you're trying to sell it, or save you a lot of money if you're trying to use it, as opposed to, instead, just buying it and paying 20 or 30 exalts. Then finally, the Penance brand helmet. This is by far the most complex. It has around 20 total crafting steps, and I even messed up at one point. Luckily, my mistake does not punish me. The goal is to make a double-influenced, essence-crafted pseudo-link helmet suitable for something like Penance brand. So, to start with, one base must be Shaper and the other must be Elder. So I buy an item level 86 Blizzard Crown. I then imprint it at the Menagerie. The point of the imprint is so that I can put either Shaper or Elder influence on it reliably without having to go through a bunch of bases. From here I do add influence to armor. If it is Shaper or Elder, I keep it. If not, I revert the imprint and imprint it again. This will remove the influence, letting me try infinitely on the same base. This ended up taking 2 attempts, the average is about 3. Now because I hit Elder here, the next step is to obtain a Shaper's helmet for the Awakener Orb. The stats on the item doesn't matter, the item level doesn't matter, the base doesn't matter, nothing matters except Shaper. Then I destroy the Shaper version and transfer the influence over to the Elder helmet. So I now have a item level 86, Penance brand enchanted, Shaper Elder Blizzard Crown. And here's where it gets expensive, or at least it should. Using Essence of Horror or Essence of Insanity until you hit Conk Effect, in combination with either removable mods, or you win the gamble after hitting unremovable mods. This can get expensive as the average is between 20 and 30 to hit Conk, and I've had streaks as long as 50 or 60 where I didn't hit Conk Effect once, which to put that in perspective, it's about 3.5 essences per Exalted Orb. which means you can expect to spend 10 to 20x to roll this. Or you could be like me and hit it on your second essence after forgetting to record the first essence because you didn't expect to hit it. And yeah, that happened. So I got extremely lucky here and I saved a lot of money. Now from here, this is where I make a mistake. I did Aug.Phys for 1.5x, and then I did Add Remove Phys, trying to hit Phys to spells. The reason this is a mistake is because I forgot to fix the suffixes first. I did need to fill the prefix modifier, so the Aug.Phys itself probably wasn't the worst thing, although if it hit what I wanted, i.e. Phys to spells, that would actually make it harder for me to roll other aspects. But luckily for me, I use several of the Aug.Phys, and they hit nothing, and so no harm done. From here I decide, okay, I'm gonna craft this the right way, and I'm going to fix the suffixes. Don't craft while tired. Crafting while tired leads to loss of money. I was quite lucky here that I didn't hit something that set me back. So I removed the attack crit, which you can do via remove attack or remove crit, whichever's cheaper. From there, I added crafted cold res and hit hypothermia off of Aug Cold. If you craft cold res, Aug Cold will always give you hypothermia. If you don't like the tier, don't use add remove here. It'll get significantly more expensive. Instead, remove the crafted cold res, remove cold, and Aug Cold again. While it is a little more expensive, it means you'll never accidentally hit cold res. You'll just bounce between the 3 tiers of hypothermia. Next, I go Aug Caster, and I hit tier 2 spell crit, so I remove add caster. This is the step that would have interfered had I actually hit the Phys to spells as the prefix. So now I go back and I do some more remove add Phys. 3 more later, and I hit tier 1 Phys to spells. This item is almost finished at this point. I just need to remove life, craft, and it's perfect. So how much did it cost? Well, in this case, it cost me about 20x, which is to say it was 18 for the craft, and I tipped the crafter for remove add Phys who hit tier 1 an additional 2x, because it's what I wanted and I was tired of buying crafts at this point, because I've done a lot of crafting here, which is a staggeringly small amount given how powerful this item is and given how expensive it is to buy similar items on the market. If you go to pathofexile.com/trade, most likely you won't find any helmet even remotely comparable to this for under 70x. In fact, most are in the 100 plus range. This is because not many people know how to craft these items, and it looks very daunting, and I'll be honest, it is a little bit daunting and there's a lot of room for error. I could very, very, very easily have spent 40 or even 50 exalts making this, rather than the 20 I spent. I got very lucky here, so if you try to craft this for yourself, or if you try to craft a RF helmet, which works on a fairly similar method, or a minion helmet, which also works on a similar method, keep in mind that costs may vary wildly by as much as 20 to 30x between attempts. With that, my question to you is, what else might you want to see crafted? In the next few days, I'm going to be putting up a poll on my YouTube community page where I ask this again and give some potential examples based on the feedback I get on this video. As I mentioned at the start, I will be doing a series of these. This is just the first one. Sometimes it might be high-end items, sometimes it might be more average items, and sometimes it might be just commonly used items. However, given the power and massive cost associated with a lot of harvest crafting when you really go for perfect gear, it can become really difficult to justify making an okay item. So most of these things will likely be towards the higher end, but not all of them are going to cost dozens of exalts. So I'd love to hear what you want to see made down in the comments below. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. And special thanks to all of my channel members who help support me so that I can continue to make videos just like this one. Your support really means a lot, and without it, I probably wouldn't be able to make videos of this regularly. If you want to help support the channel, click the membership button or the link down in the comments below. And if you found this video helpful and want to ask me a question in a more interactive setting, I stream at least once a week here on YouTube, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you have relating to this video or any of my other videos. Thank you again, and I hope to see you on stream sometime. Have a great day.